Rules. Exactly. Rules. Without them, we live with the animals.
John Wick is a movie about rules. Rules of the underworld, rules of vengeance, rules of survival. But it also plays by the rules of colors. Strip the violence away and you notice the same three patterns over and over. Monochromatic, analogous, complementary. They're not just palette, they are the hidden code of Wick's world. Let's talk about how John Wick follows color rules just as much as it follows its moral code. This video is based on John Wick Chapter 4 because there are a lot of hidden gems in this movie. This maybe contains spoilers for you, so if you haven't seen the movie, I recommend you to watch the movie before watching this video. For those that stay with me, welcome! I am Frenchie, I am a colorist specialized in commercials, and today we're gonna learn what we can take from the color grading of John Wick. So before we tackle anything, let's talk about the rules of color grading. John Wick is a great example to inspire our color grading, because in grading, just like in Wick's world, if you don't follow the rules, there are consequences. Behind every cinematic image, there's a structure, a logic to how colors interact. That structure is what we call color harmony. So, what are color harmony groups? Color harmony groups are a combination of colors that feel balanced to the human eye. They create a sense of unity, contrast, or emotion depending on how they're built. You can think of them as the grammar of color. They guide how you build relationships between hue so your image feels intentional, not random. They're widely used in design, photography, and of course, cinematography. The three most common groups are monochromatic, built around one dominant color, analogous, using colors that sit next to each other on the wheel, complementary, combining opposite colors for a deep contrast. In John Wick, these harmony groups are not just visual choices for aesthetic, they are storytelling tools. They represent power, rebellion, and conflict. First, the world of John Wick. John Wick is a neo-noir movie, a universe built on rules. Rules that define the underworld and rules that, if broken, bring consequences. That same logic applies visually. Every group in this world is represented by a color. Orange represents the high table, the rulers, the hierarchy, the system. Cyan represents Wick and those on his side, the outlaws, the ones who want freedom. Green represents the middlemen, like the member of the Continental, so they are keeping the balance. And red represents violence. These colors are established by cinematographer Dan Lauston and enhanced through grading by colorist Jill Bogdanovich. You could say that everything in the look of John Wick is only made by the cinematography, but you'd be wrong. Dan and Jill worked as a tandem, with Dan consulting Jill prior to the shoot to set the look, and Jill consistently checking the takes to understand how she would adapt the look. To some extent, the colorist is the digital gaffer of the cinematographer. Together, they crafted a world where the rules of story and the rules of color are perfectly aligned. Now let's break down how those harmony groups are used in the film. Second, monochromatic, the power of belonging. The monochromatic harmony is built around one single hue, with variation in lightness and saturation. It creates unity, a sense of belonging. In John Wick, monochromatic scenes are used to represent a group or an institution. For example, during the Battle of the Continental, the entire environment glows green. The walls, the floors, the reflections, all shades are of the same hue. It's not just stylish, it's symbolic. The green tint marks the territory of the Continental first, but also represents the two parts that are fighting against each other, which are both middlemen. That's what monochromatic harmony does feel, it binds everything together. You can see that, for example, in the Battle of the Continental, we are in a monochromatic color group. This is represented in your vector scope scope of one line. Over here, like, we are a bit more than a line because we have some green and some cyan that you can see over here, but technically we are more towards a monochromatic group, and we're gonna see how to manage a monochromatic group. So for example, a monochromatic group will be initiated by the cinematography. We're gonna have, for example, out of the image straight away a line to go towards one single hue. Always in monochromatic group, it boils down to the density, so you can create some depth thanks to the density, and also you can affect the tint of your monochromatic group to create a bit more separation or to make it a tiny bit more stylish. So first I'm going to start with my first node. I would go more towards a cyan green. We are going to our global wheel in our HDR, and we are going to something that is a bit more towards cyan, and you can see that everything goes towards one hue. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to affect the density of the image. There is two ways to affect the density. You can do it first with color slice, and I'm going to show you the second method right after. So color slice, you're going to affect the density of each vector of color. So you have a global density if you want to regulate the global density, but what we are interested in is the density of our cyan and the density of our blue. Let's go to our cyan and see what is happening. So when I go up with my density, I will have a denser color over here, and when I go up with my blue, I'm gonna have a denser color overall. And so I think something like this is fine. It creates already some delimitation, which I really like. Let's see the second method for density. What we're gonna do is that we're gonna create a node outside of our parallel node. We're gonna right click, go to composite mode, and go to luminosity. After this, we are going to our RGB mixer, and we're gonna affect our red output. You can see that if I move it, we're gonna have some luminosity coming in or luminosity toning down on just one part of the image. The green output, so same but on another part of the image, and a blue output, same but on another part of the image. And so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to raise a bit more my red to have a bit more light on her face. So this is before, this is after, and we are having a bit more delimitation in our frame. So we went from this shot to this grade. 3. Analogous, the influence of power. The analogous harmony uses colors that sit next to each other on the wheel, like red and orange or blue and cyan. It's softer and more fluid. Instead of representing, for example, a conflict, it will show influence. In John Wick, analogous color groups appear when one power starts to influence another, when the lines between systems blur. Take the final duel at sunrise. The entire scene is bathed in warm orange tones, the color of the high table. Even though John is still fighting for freedom, he's under their rules for one last time. The sunrise light isn't just beautiful, it's metaphorical. The high table's influence literally tints the world around him. Another example is the tunnel sequence. The palette shifts subtly between green and cyan, showing the overlap of these two forces. Neither side dominates completely because both are still bound by interest. So I'm just going to show you in 2x zoom, so it's going to be easier for you to see. Unlike the monochromatic group, we have a bit more delimitation of colors, and we have in our vector scope a sort of a cone that is created thanks to just one single key hue, and everything is radiating around it. Also, what is interesting is that during the scene of the negotiation on the duel, we have an analogous harmony group. So you can see that we have a sort of a triangle, but that goes towards cold. This is because in this scene, we are deciding the condition of the freedom of John Wick, and this is why everything is tinted cold. Let's do the analogous harmony group and how to manage it in our frame. I'm just gonna change the tint overall like we've done for the monochromatic just to find somewhere where everything feels natural, and I find that something around gold morning looks really good. So first I'm going to create some delimitation in the shadows. I'm going to go to my curves over here and I'm going to create a split tone just to have a bit more delimited characters. I'm going to go to my curves, I'm going to unlink YRGB, I'm going to go to my red. I'm going to create a point in my first square over here. So I click on it, I hold Option to keep it fixed on my curve, and I'm going to create another point and go down with my point. So this is before, this is after. It's making my shadows a bit more cyan, but also it adds a tiny bit more warmth on her face. I'm going to go to my blue, I'm going to create another point over here and add a tiny bit more blue just for the shadows to not turn too green. What I can do also, I can go to my color slice and affect the density like we've done in the monochromatic group. I'm going to put more density on the yellow because it affects the background, and put more density on the green because it affects also the background, and it helps to make our character stand out a tiny bit more. I can also do the same as what we've done with our monochromatic group. I'm going to go to luminosity and I'm going to go with my red output, green output, blue output, and I'm just going to affect my image this way. That this is before, this is after. It's opening up the image, but at the same time keeping a very nice contrast and very natural contrast. To finish, I can go to my windows and create a power window over her face, go to my HDR wheels, and we are going to our menu, go to gamma, go to linear, and raise my light. I find that if I want to relight a face, it does a really good natural job. So we went from a footage like this to a footage like that. We are in an analogous harmony group. You can see that it creates a sort of a cone over here. So if, for example, the tint is too warm for you, once everything is set, this is easy after to go back and go to something that is a bit more neutral. You will always keep your triangle intact. For complementary, the clash of forces. This one pairs colors from opposite side of the color wheel, like orange and teal or red and blue. Complementary harmonies are all about contrast. They show opposition, tension, and conflict. And conflict is what John Wick is built on. Throughout the last 3 films, you see a constant battle between orange and teal, Wick against the high table. Orange stands for control and hierarchy, teal stands for freedom and defiance. The clash of these colors is a visual translation of their war. Also, when red and blue appear together, it goes even deeper. Red representing violence, blue, cyan, teal representing Wick and the desire of freedom, which shows that in the Continental, when John Wick is lit with blue light and red light, he is bringing, of course, his desire of freedom, but also violence with him, because right after this scene, we have the Battle of the Continental. Complementary harmonies in John Wick mark moments of confrontation between characters, between ideas, between life and death. It's color as conflict. And we have the complementary harmony group, and the complementary harmony group is one of the groups that is the most used in color grading because this is very efficient. We are, if you see, going from one hue to another hue on the opposite side. So in your vector scope, it will create a line. I'm just gonna remove the 2x zoom for you to see it, but this is exactly what's happening. And so straight away you have a striking image because we have a big contrast happening in the image. I would suggest to always do complementary color group with footage that are prone to it. So for example, in this footage, we are prone to it because we have the night that is behind and that is bluish. And also we have some warm light that are in the frame. Also it's the same here. We have some warmth that is happening on his skin, and we have something that is coldish outside, which can be turned into cyan. I will just raise a tiny bit the color boost to see what is happening in my image. You can see I want to target the blue here, and I want to target the warmth here. We're going to go to our curves, and we're going to stay unlinked with our warrior GB, and I'm going to remove some red like this. What I can do is that I can see if my red is a bit more interesting somewhere else, but I think somewhere here within the second square is actually pretty cool. I'm just gonna come back a tiny bit with my red, and I'm gonna take my blue because my red is also creating a lot of green, and I'm gonna go up with my blue to just add a bit of blue in the shadows to have something a bit more bluish than greenish. So you can see, so this is before, this is after. What I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna create a node, and I'm gonna go to my color slice. I'm gonna go to my skin because this is my orange vector, and I'm gonna go up with my subtractive saturation. It's creating a lot of saturation. Also, I see that my yellow is not affected, so I will go to my yellow and I will go up, and you can see that the yellow is very yellow. So if I want to change the color of the yellow, what I can do is going to the hue and going towards something that is a bit more reddish. So this is before, this is after. This is how you add a tiny bit more warmth to it, which creates a big contrast. You can create another node and go to your HDR wheels and go to your global to find more delimitation if you want to find more delimitation this way. And something like this is for me a sweet spot, I find, because we have some warmth, we have some blue coming out, and if I raise some color boost, then I will have a bit more delimitation happening. And so this is how you can create a complementary color group. In the other frame, we can apply the same logic. What is good is that we have more control elements, which is creating just one single hue over here. Create a node, go to my HDR wheels, go to my global, and have already a separation. You can see that it creates already my complementary group with my window already reflecting some cyan. And we have to just control the wall around him and his skin now. Here, I'm just going to go to my color slice. I'm going to go down with my yellow because you can see that his wall background is affected by yellow. So then we have something that is a bit more clean in terms of delimitation. Now we have the focus only on him and on the cyan that is coming out of the window. I can turn up a bit his skin to have it a bit more popping. What I can do is creating a node to make his face a tiny bit more lit, like we've done in the Analogous harmony group. So I go to gamma, linear, a bit of light, and you can see that we went from this image to this image with a complementary color group, which is cyan, with some warmth of the skin, and you can see that we have the very nice line of the delimitation between warmth and cold. Conclusion: in John Wick, everything follows a code, and the same applies to its color. Monochromatic means belonging, analogous means influence, complementary means conflict. In this film, harmony groups are more than just color theory, they are narrative design. The cinematography sets the tone, the grading reinforces it, and together they build a world that feels as strict and dangerous as the rules Wick lives by. So next time you watch John Wick, or sit in front of your grading monitor, remember this. Color harmony isn't just decoration or aesthetic. It can be a story in itself. And it is really important for you to know the rules. Because in color grading, if you don't follow the rules, there will be consequences. I hope you liked the video, guys. If you like the concept, just let me know in the comments because I have a bunch of film I want to talk about with their color theories. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I see you next time, guys. See you!